So it turns out that the FBI has been investigating UAPs for years. We all knew that the Pentagon was investigating UAPs, but the FBI now apparently as well. How many agencies are actually investigating UAPs? I mean, I thought there was nothing to see here. Next you'll tell me that the CIA is investigating UAPs too. I mean, oh wait, there's evidence that they have been, and they've even been involved in crash retrievals. Man, we have a lot to talk about today. We'll discuss that in a second. Before we get into the video, I just want to humbly ask you that if you see a survey at the end of the video, that you give this video a positive review. Obviously, probably thought I was going to ask you to like or subscribe, but I'm not asking that. I do appreciate those things, but apparently YouTube values surveys more than anything, and I've been reduced to a glorified customer service representative for UAPs on YouTube. So if you have an issue with your UAP, feel free to give me a call, and I will assist you the best way I can by telling you to unplug your UAP sighting for 2 minutes and plug it back in. I hear that sometimes works. Okay, seriously though, let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of this thing. The FBI and their investigations into UAPs. So as I mentioned, it has come out that FBI agents were investigating a certain event that we won't name, since I would rather not have the algorithm think that this video or this channel is at all political. You know, the one the media wouldn't shut up about for 4 years and 1,500 people were recently pardoned for. Yeah, that event. Well, these FBI agents are claiming that they cannot be gotten rid of because they were working on an FBI-ran UAP program, and who exactly would be able to replace them? Even Ryan Graves came on News Nation and he made a plea for leniency to these agents. The reason being is because he wants them to be able to continue to work on this topic. And I would just like to point out 2 things here. One, you're a number and not a name when you work for any employer. How big-headed do you have to be to think that you can't simply just be replaced with someone else and have them pick up where you dummies left off? People are fired and hired for new positions with the same qualifications to fill a role at any company or agency on a daily basis. What do you think makes you so special that there's nobody else on the planet that could do the same job? That's just ridiculous. Now, we've replaced the heads of Aero in the UAP task force as well as other employees that have worked there. And it's not that anybody respects Aero or the UAP task force in the first place. I mean, it's just the fact that they were replaced and still saying that everything is a balloon just fine and giving the U.S. basically no information. And I mean the U.S. as the U.S. citizenry, no information. It all sticks with the Pentagon. I will say that the new guy is doing a slightly better job than Sean Kirkpatrick, at least pretending he's transparent. So there's that. At least when he does it, he doesn't just outright say that everything is a balloon. He admits that there are unexplained cases, but he does like to ignore them and try to say that even though we can't solve them, there's no evidence of non-human intelligence, even though some of these cases are over 20 years old and perform feats that, quite frankly, cannot be explained with Earth technology, but that's not the point. It's obvious that they're not telling us the truth about UAPs, but that's to be expected. Even the new guy is still just a puppet of his bosses, but at least he is doing actual investigative work and not just blowing the evidence off entirely in the whistleblowers who came to him and then lying about what these whistleblowers had said. I mean, at least he's acknowledging them before he blows them off. That's a big step up in my book, but there's a reason why the whistleblowers do not want to go to Aero. In all seriousness, though, the point is not that Aero isn't doing a good job or is doing a good job or is or isn't telling the truth. In fact, it's just the opposite. As I mentioned, if there is a case that they can't explain, they just ignore it. The FBI, on the other hand, we don't actually know what they do because they've never been transparent enough to actually show that side of themselves to the public. We didn't actually know that the FBI, was even investigating UAPs. This only came out because there was a threat of getting fired. And we can all tell this is obviously just an excuse because they don't want to lose their jobs. And this comes in the wake of the CIA recently losing 20,000 employees willingly because they decided to accept 8 months' pay from the federal government to resign. And with that, I say good riddance, to be honest. You guys were just as dirty when it comes to the UAP topic, as well as a whole host of other topics like coups and other things you commit in other nations to instill your will, including this nation with shady stuff that the CIA has done over the years, Project Mockingbird, MKUltra. This is just scratching the surface of the things that the CIA has done that have been completely scummy. So believe me when I say that they will not be missed. And this is the same agency that also prevented Lou Elizondo from getting that UAP, which I don't know how this would benefit us other than maybe the story being different when Lou testified to Congress, from Lockheed Martin for the government to have. At the very least, maybe that would have opened them up to FOAIA request, or maybe it would have at the very least given Lou serious firepower when he left his job to prove that this was indeed happening. Who knows? I'm sure it would have still been kept classified. I can't say. But whatever your opinion of Lou Elizondo, he was still willing to make this testimony under oath, so he's likely being honest here, and this probably did happen. I mean, otherwise he's just probably doesn't care about his wife and kids, since there's a risk that he's perjured himself and he could go to federal prison. But to be real here, the FBI have likely been doing basically nothing. As far as, at least that's my guess, is I'm going to say that when it comes to the UAP topic, they probably haven't been doing a whole lot. Maybe I'm wrong, and they've actually discovered far more than any other agency. Maybe they're like in bed with the CIA on this, and they both have investigated this equally, and they both have all the same information. Fine. But as far as I could tell, they did an absolute crap job investigating the UAP drones over New Jersey. I mean, the FAA-sanctioned research drones over New Jersey. You know, the FAA-sanctioned drones that the FAA conveniently forgot it sanctioned and then proceeded to turn New Jersey into a no-fly zone, and the FBI had a meeting with our elected representatives and told them that they didn't know what was going on, and when they tried to pursue one of these drones, the FBI decided the people in the chopper didn't feel safe, so they backed off. I'm not going to get into all of that. We have plenty of videos on the New Jersey drones. There's a little more information at the end of this that I'm going to cover with a representative who recently made a statement, but I don't want to make this a New Jersey drones video. I'm just bringing this up because I don't have much faith in the FBI to investigate UAPs if they can't even investigate drones properly. But then again, maybe that was on purpose. Maybe these actually were more maybe non-human related than we might have thought, or maybe it's got nothing to do with that. I don't know. I mean, if you truly believe that the government was honest, they would seem like the most incompetent organization on the planet, and in many ways they are, at least when it comes to managing social systems and doing your taxes. But when it comes to events involving the military and national security, they are the most competent entity to ever exist in all of history. It's just like the entire government thinks that we're stupid, and for the most part, they're right. A large majority of people really just don't know anything about the government's history on the UAP topic, and will undoubtedly believe literally everything that the government tells them when they say that these were simply FAA-sanctioned research drones, or that Roswell was just a weather balloon, that sort of stuff. They don't actually know what the government has done. They've never researched it, because why would they? Most people don't have an interest in this topic. It's not the mainstream view. I mean, at least it wasn't until recently. I mean, this is how competent the FBI is. They're so competent that when they sat down to tell Congress everything that they knew about the New Jersey drone situation, they pulled out a business deck that basically just said over and over again, we don't know what they are. So that is actually probably more competent than you think, because they're even lying to the elected officials to keep the information for the bureaucrats hidden, because that's how government works. I guarantee you they knew what they were. They had every inclination to know, every bit of evidence they needed. They were just lying because they knew this was a public hearing, that these public representatives would tell the public what it was. They didn't want to cause a mass freakout. And this is just one example of the government obfuscating the truth, giving several different explanations for one incident, which we do have another explanation other than the FAA-sanctioned research drones. You're going to love the new one. But they give several different explanations. One of them is kind of close to the truth usually, and the rest of them are bupkis, or they're just all bupkis, and it's just nonsense. Either way, they're just trying to muddy the water so that the public just forgets about it and never has answers, and only a fringe part of the public will ever look into it, and everybody else could just go on about their daily lives acting like the weird stuff never happened. But I digress here, because I don't think New Jersey will ever forget that this happened. I mean, even the mayor allegedly claims that he filmed a UAP orb transforming into one of these unknown drones. Now, people have speculated maybe this was just an airplane or one of these drones turning, and it just looks like that. That's not the point. I don't think that New Jersey, with all the weird stuff that they saw flying over their city, are ever going to forget this. This is probably going to at least be something that the state remembers. Just like how Roswell has UFO-themed everything, Jersey is probably going to have some sort of remembrance that this event occurred. But to basically summarize it, yeah, the FBI had their own real-life version of the X-Files, and that's fantastic until you realize that we have no idea what they're doing with that information. We don't know how long they've been researching this topic. We just know it's been years. And I swear, with all of these new whistleblowers and the revelations of these agencies all searching and researching the thing that there's nothing to see, and they're just doing all this digging into the UAP topic, it seems more and more like Bob Lazar was right back in 1989 when he came out with his claims. And whether you believe him or not, he would have to be the luckiest man alive at this point, and I mean the luckiest con man alive at this point, if he was just making all this crap up, or he was telling the truth. Regardless, there will be an episode coming out at some point in the near future, fully documenting Bob Lazar. I have spent several days researching very deeply into him. I've learned things that after 20 years of following his story, I had no idea were true. I doubt a lot of you know that this information exists, but I found it out. And I'm obviously going to be putting all this in the video for a big info dump for you guys, so hopefully there's new stuff there that you didn't know. And yeah, keep an eye out for that. I already made the thumbnail and wrote a good part of the script and everything for that one, so I'm definitely going to do that one. I just can't guarantee it'll be the next video. It'll probably be a couple of videos out. I'm like to the point though from researching it that basically I've had nightmares that Bob Lazar was going to show up in my room with the whiteboard and start explaining how the sport model flies and why it's a good idea to put a jet engine in the back of my car. That's how much I've been researching this, and it's getting kind of a problem at this point, man. I'm not gonna lie. I really I need to do something else. It was not a good nightmare. I've never been so bored in a dream in my life. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the FBI is not the only news I want to cover in this video, because Anna Paulina Luna, I recently made a post on my community tab documenting this for everybody who saw it. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. She recently made a tweet saying that she has an announcement of an announcement of an announcement that will impact the entire nation, and people are speculating that it's likely related to UAPs, and that's fantastic. But she didn't say that. And instead of keeping us in suspense, why not just make the announcement? I get wanting to get more eyes on your post and on the announcement, but if it's that important and it really involves all of the nation at the very minimum, or all of humanity, which it would if it's the UAP topic, it would get the same attention regardless as soon as you make the announcement. So why not just announce it? Just tell us already. Like, I don't get the point of why these people keep us waiting. We've been waiting on this subject long enough. I don't think that my balls can turn any more blue at this point. Just give me the info already, or give the nation the info already. Sorry, I don't want to sound greedy, but I very badly would like it. And why make us wait like another week for it? I can't understand it. And also, Tim Gallaudet made a tweet, and in his tweet, it was a lot less vague. He flat out said that the U.S. government is aware of UAPs controlled by non-human intelligence, and that the current sitting administration should disclose this information and stick with their campaign promises to do so. And I know that, you know, the president's busy, but I hope that he remembers that he did make this promise and actually follow through with disclosure. However, I will be honest here, I don't think that the current president or any other presidents have the power to cut through the bureaucracy that has been keeping the secrecy around the UAP topic for decades. In fact, I am willing to bet that those bureaucrats are doing literally everything in their power to hide as much information on the subject of UAPs as they possibly can from the president. I don't think that it matters who the president is. I've been saying this on this channel for years, that the president does not have a need to know when it comes to the topic of UAPs. And especially when it comes to stuff like UAP crash retrievals. They're never told anything about that. A great example being when Bill Clinton, George Bush, and Obama, they all went on the Jimmy Kimmel show, and they were all asked about UAP, and all of them said that there was nothing there when they looked, which clearly was not the case. If that was the case, the Pentagon wouldn't have been actively researching UAP at the time. Either they didn't know, or they did know and they were just instructed to say otherwise, like Obama said, and they were just flat out lying to the American public. I would like to say it's a mix of both, but they probably don't actually get briefed on all of the details like this, like the recovered craft. There's probably just like surface level briefing there when it comes to this stuff, and nothing that serious. And I'm sure that they're also told that these things are not being piloted by non-human intelligence. However, I, at this point, am positive that is not the case. And I'm going to be honest, you would think that Trump would be all over this at this point, considering that these aliens were not born in the United States and are therefore technically here illegally. If he really had all the info, he would probably be having ICE agents deport them back to Zeta Reticuli by now. The wall just got 200,000 feet higher and it now has a roof. In all seriousness though, it's been rumored for decades that the president has absolutely no idea what's going on, and maybe it really is a lot more difficult than we imagine for the president to just do a giant information dump on this particular topic. It isn't like the public hasn't been aware of what's going on with UAPs now for decades. There's always new UAP footage and stories popping up. And with the revealing of these whistleblowers and the congressional hearings, it's only gotten the public to look up towards the sky even more. The amount of footage that's been showing up has become insane. It just doesn't stop coming. And I have a few recently recorded UAP videos that I'd like to share with you in this video. You guys can decide what you think they are. The first one that I have is some weird NASA ISS footage. It's been forever since we had some good NASA ISS UAP footage to share with you, but this is definitely a strange one that made its way into some tabloid news and all over, forums on the internet. So go ahead and check it out. We could discuss a little bit afterwards. Here it is. So there's nothing going on, huh? Then please do explain what the hell that was, Mr. FBI guy. This looks like a bit more than just some ice crystals floating through space. We know that NASA will probably try to write this off as ice crystals or space debris, intelligent space debris that stay in formation with each other while they float through the camera shot, space debris that are obviously intelligently controlled by something. And we know that this is 100% real and not CGI because the footage comes from NASA's ISS feed themselves. And funnily enough, NASA as well as SpaceX both claim to have seen no evidence of extraterrestrial life on Earth. But what about in space, where you guys look? You didn't say in space, did you? Well, Elon did, but we're not counting him. I'm talking about NASA. The only space traveling organization that hasn't made this claim that there's no ET life visiting Earth or evidence of it anyway is Bigelow Aerospace, owned by Robert Bigelow. And funnily enough, Robert Bigelow is also the owner of MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. And at one point, he was also the owner of Skinwalker Ranch. And that seems like a stark contrast in opinion between these three companies / agencies. But that's just a tidbit of information for you guys, so do with that what you will. The next piece of footage that I have for you guys was actually captured over the Caribbean Sea by a cruise ship on January 15th of 2025. If you're curious, the cruise ship was Virgin Voyages. Not sure that it matters, but I figured I'd throw that in. It shows an orb performing some outright crazy maneuvers over the open ocean. The footage was filmed by a Reddit user's mom, and the Reddit user's name is on screen right now because I'm not trying to pronounce that. I had to mute the audio because the cruise was playing some copyrighted music, which, to be honest, the music was kind of a bop. I was kind of vibing. But no matter how good it is, I still don't want a copyright strike, so I am going to mute the audio. Not that you could hear anything from the UAP anyway, so it doesn't really affect anything. Go ahead and check it out. We'll talk more on it after. Here it is. Now, before you go and dismiss this one as a drone, the Reddit user claims that no one on board was allowed to fly drones, and the user's mother actually went and asked the staff if the ship's employees were flying drones, and according to the employees, they were not. Considering that this took place over the open ocean, it is possible that maybe what the Reddit user's mother witnessed was a Tic Tac UFO, similar to the one involved in the Nimitz incident that Commander David Fravor saw. Could this be a Tic Tac UAP? Possibly. I think it's possible anyway. But I'll leave that up for you guys to decide. The next piece of footage that I have for you guys, though, is much more controversial. I originally saw this on X, and I was not going to share it because everyone was claiming that it was either an F-117 or a balloon. I am not entirely convinced of either of those theories. I watched it a bunch of times, and it seems that the opinion of the internet has basically shifted on this sighting depending on where you look. It was originally uploaded to YouTube by user WhisperSpace911, and it was captured out of the cockpit of an airplane. If by chance this is legitimate UAP footage, then this may be some of the best UAP footage that we have witnessed in a very long time, and that's saying something. So check out this footage, and feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions on what you think this footage is down in the comments. It doesn't affect me what you guys think it is, so have at it, try to debunk it, or, you know, whatever you want. Anyway, here it is, check it out. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this thing really is the correct shape for an F-117. However, this was captured over Colombia, a country that has, as far as my research has been able to tell, no F-117s. And it's also a bit strange the way it glides across the sky, almost gracefully. I mean, could this be a balloon? Maybe. This was captured at 22,000 feet up in the air. There are weather balloons that go this high. In fact, they go much higher. But this is definitely a weird shape for a weather balloon. Not to say that it isn't possibly a balloon or like it's not a possibility, but you know that there will be people calling it a balloon because apparently everything UAP related is a balloon. Looks a bit strange and you can't identify it? Just call it a balloon. Why actually investigate? Why do we actually have to put in the work to figure out what something is if we could just label it a balloon and be done with it? I get wanting to be skeptical, but not literally every single UAP sighting can just be labeled a balloon and tossed to the side. It doesn't work that way. And that's not to say that it is impossible that this couldn't be a balloon, but I'm just sick of hearing every single UAP labeled a balloon. Okay, my rant's over. Before we wrap up, I have one final piece of information to share with you guys that I mentioned earlier in the video. Representative Steve Cohen just came out in a House Aviation Subcommittee hearing on counter UAS and gave a statement about the drone UAP that were flying over New Jersey. Of course, we all probably thought that we heard the last of this when the White House made a statement saying that the FAA had actually approved these drones and that they were FAA approved research drones. But according to this guy, now the drones were just a, quote, viral internet hoax. But don't take it from me. Here's the man himself saying it.
I want to debunk another recent aviation-related conspiracy theory, the so-called New Jersey drone crisis. Late last year, social media was flooded with claims of mass drone swarms shutting down airports and threatening public safety. I thought Orson Welles had come back. In fact, a full review by the FAA, FBI, and the DHS found no credible security threats. Many of these sightings were misidentified commercial drones, law enforcement operations, and even fixed-wing aircraft mistaken for drones. We must separate fact from fiction so that we can focus on real threats, not viral internet hoaxes, and not run to the cameras to make a statement and demand that Washington do something about it when it was nothing to be done about.
So my question for the government at this point is, which is it? Were these FAA-approved research drones, or were they a viral internet hoax? Or were these actually just an FAA-approved viral internet hoax? The government can't keep its story straight. Or maybe it's done on purpose to muddy the waters around this subject. After all, it isn't like they didn't give 5 separate explanations for the 1947 Roswell crash. It seems when the government wants to obscure something, they just throw a bunch of random explanations at it And out of all those explanations, one of them is probably the truth, or at least 95% of the truth, and the others are just a load of crap designed to obfuscate what the truth actually is. So basically, the government is just trying to confuse people. And just like with every other UAP related topic, the government somehow tries to label it a balloon, or I guess in this case, an FAA approved internet hoax. But these are just my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think about all this down in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to subscribe, tap the notification bell, drop a like on your way out. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll see you guys again in the next video. Peace.